this week, continuation of the series that I'm doing in parallel with what Mike is doing. Okay, Mike is talking about leads and or listings, and with everything this month is all about listings. Okay, so the training that I'm going to do is kind of dovetail with that. Whereas Mike's training, as you guys know, is typically geared towards how to acquire that business. I'm going to teach you the subtleties of the technology, the systems, the tools, the process of a listing once you've got it. Okay, so again, just to kind of reemphasize, the focus here is on Mike's going to teach you his training is going to focus on how to acquire that business, that listing. My training is going to focus more on the details of what do you do with it once you've got it. Okay. So today we are going to talk a little bit about pricing for listings and some mistakes that are commonly made. And we're just going to kind of launch right into it. I'm going to show you some real world practical examples. This will be good. So good information, good training. And then I'm really excited about Thursday. We're going to talk more in our foundations group on Thursday about the timeline of listing, some do's, some don'ts. When do you go live? When do you go on the market? When do you start showings? What is the norm in terms of days on the market? How do you position all of this with your client in terms of, okay, we're going to go coming soon status for a short period of time, then we're going to go live. We're going to show over the weekend, and then we're going to collect offers and evaluate offers on Monday or Tuesday or whatever you happen to be. That's the kind of timeline. That's some very specific stuff we're going to talk about on Thursday. So I'm excited about that one, but this one is going to be good too today. All right. Any questions before I get rolling? Okay, so what I've titled this one today, and for Rob, who's editing this in his little hovel, we're calling the biggest pricing mistakes that agents and sellers are making these days. Okay. Now, before I start this, and before the title becomes something of a concern, I want to make something very, very clear. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about is a lot more applicable as we get into a more balanced market. The market that we are in right now is far from balanced, y'all. Okay. We talk about inventory turns, days on the market, and the absorption analysis report, months of inventory. Right now in Metro Atlanta, we're less than 1 month of inventory. Anything 6 months or less is considered to be a balanced market. Anything 6 months is around 6 months is considered to be a balanced market. Anything less is considered to be a very strong seller's market. We are at less than 1 month of inventory. Unheard of in our industry. So some might make the argument, take any listing at any price. And depending upon the situation, the location, that may not be far from the truth, okay? Because you can always adjust it. But a smart agent and an agent that pays attention to statistics and metrics and objective data can see through that, and that's what I'm going to teach you guys how to evaluate today. Okay, so having said that, let me march straight into. Okay, and I'm trying to figure out which screen I want to go to. That one. Okay, what are y'all looking at right now?
Your screen.
Now are you looking at 7 biggest pricing mistakes home sellers and agents need to avoid?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let me get this off of here onto a different screen. That's weird. You guys are looking at yourselves. I don't like this, but how do I fix it? Why won't it let me do this? All right, y'all. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to look at yourselves.
No, we're looking at your screen. We can see your screen.
Are you looking at my screen? Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see your pictures off to the side?
Yeah.
Oh, does that matter? Do you care?
No, it's always there.
Is it? I didn't realize that. I usually pull it off on the other screen. Anyway, sorry. Thank you. All right, folks. So here it is. We're going to talk 7 biggest pricing mistakes that agents are making. Here are the key takeaways that we want to talk about today. You guys, if you haven't figured this out, pricing and doing an effective CMA is somewhere between a cross between art and science. But sellers may need to avoid some very common mistakes that they often make. In a good market, houses are always going to go up in value, but the stuff in them and the renovations of them does not. If the market is telling you something, we'd better listen. Okay, and this MLS should change the listing price to the minimum opening bid. I just thought that was kind of funny, and I threw that in there. But we're going to talk today about 6 mistakes while selecting the opening listing price, and then 1 huge mistake that we as agents often make after we go live. Okay. So 1, pricing to the unsolds rather than the solds. Okay, when you are working up a CMA for your listing, what do we always say about your sample size? First off, how big of a sample size should a CMA have? How many homes should be in a CMA?
At least 3.
I couldn't hear you. Say again.
3 homes.
I'm going to go more
6.
than that.
I'd say like 5.
6.
Wow, my audio is horrible, folks. Say it again, one more time.
5.
I said 6.
I said 7 to 8.
6 to 8 is a good sample size for an effective CMA. Anything less than that, you may find yourself not having enough comparables to sample. Okay, of those 6 to 8, I typically would want to see 1, maybe 2 at the most active listings, 1 or 2 pending listings, and then the rest heavily weighted towards the solds. Why is that? What do you think?
So they can see what's on the market and maybe why it's not selling, and see what has been sold, and maybe that price point is what is selling in the area.
Yeah. I mean, so you think about it. When somebody lists a home and it's active on the market, the price that is listed may or may not be accurate, may or may not be based in reality. So an active home is fantasy land. That's what they want to get for the house. Doesn't mean they're going to. Okay. A home that is pending, that is under contract, similarly, it is on the way to being more reliable information. So say an active home is listed at 450, a pending home is listed at 400, and all the solds are listed at 380. Does that kind of fit the profile of what you might see in the marketplace these days? It frequently does. So, and a pending home is what they think they're getting, but we won't know for sure until it closes. Sold homes are based in reality. They have stood the test of time. They have been on the market, and someone has actually pulled the trigger and actually bought them. So you can actually see what it truly did sell for as opposed to what somebody wants to sell it for. Okay. So expired listings, I love expireds and sometimes withdrawals, but more so expired listings can tell you what a home will often not sell for. Okay. If you do use an expired listing in your comparables, I wouldn't count it towards your 6 to 8 comps. I would add an extra one in there, if you will. Okay. Your pricing strategy should be heavily weighted towards the solds rather than the actives or even the pendings for that matter. Okay, questions on that? All right. Big pricing mistake, overvaluing the amenities. Placing too much faith in the value of some of the unique features of the home, the unique benefits of the home, granite countertops, bathroom fixtures, high-end appliances. But this house has a pool. Well, guess what? Whether or not it has a pool only matters if somebody wanted the pool. You know, there are people out there that are dead set, do not want pools. And ironically enough, it's when they come from places where you would think that they would want a pool. Florida, California, those clients are like, no, I've had a pool before. I don't like the maintenance of it. Anybody's been around the block, you may have found that to be be true. Okay. There is something called the endowment effect, which is the tendency to overvalue things just because we happen to be the ones that own them. Happens all the time. Okay. And you'll see FSBOs that often think, well, my house has all of these other features, and they keep this laundry list in their head, and it's sometimes difficult to overcome that. Okay, amenities absolutely do have some value, but it's going to be secondary to the location and the size of the home. Those are going to be the things that are location, size, condition of the home are going to be more important to the ultimately determining the value than the amenities that are in there. And don't you just hate it when the listing agent puts the amenities and things in all caps? If it's in all caps, I have to see it today. Gotta intersperse a little humor for y'all because I think it's funny the way we do things. All right. Similar to placing too many value on the amenities, also trying to get full value for the improvements that somebody has done to the home during their ownership. Okay, so I'm going to differentiate the overvaluing the amenities. These are the things that the home has, whether or not they were the ones that did them or not. Trying to get the full value for improvements is more focused on what the current sellers did to that home and putting too much value in those. Okay, so here's the example. Let's say that 10 years ago they bought the home for $500. 5 years ago they spent $50,000 on a kitchen redo. Then 2 years ago they spent $25,000 on what is this other repairs? Sorry guys, I might have to on roof repairs. At the very least, then the home should have appreciated if it's appreciated in value at all, they should be able to sell the home for $375, right? Maybe not. You very rarely get 100 cents on the dollar for the full improvements in the home. I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to give you the reference for it. There is a great resource for somebody that if you have somebody in this category. Remodeling Magazine does a piece every year, and they've got a great tool, cost versus value. I'm going to show you how to get to it here in a minute, and I'll show you an example of it. But on average, improvements usually earn approximately 60 to 70 cents on the dollar of their cost. And that is sometimes difficult for many of us to understand when we live in the HGTV generation and we see these TV shows where they invest $5,000 in a bathroom and they think they can get $25,000 more for the house. Sometimes it happens. Most often it does not. All right. This is an actual, no kidding, no BS chart from Remodeling Magazine, cost versus value. It's a great little resource, and it comes in a nice little marketed package with a PDF. You can type in the zip code and the area that you live in. Take a look at these. Some of these were really shocking to me that, a bathroom addition only gets less than 50% of its value. But let's go down through here and let's look at the stuff that you do get a lot of your value out of. So a garage door replacement, something that costs $3,800, you're generally going to get $3,500 back, almost 92% of the value back out of it. Look at these national averages. Garage door replacement is 93.8, almost 94% of the value you get back out of it. Okay, so that might be the one exception to the rule where a client says, well, I think I need to do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's a pretty good one. All right. Manufactured stone veneer is 92%. uh, manufactured stone veneer. So maybe like underpinnings on the house, or you know, where it was cinder block, maybe covering that cinder block with a stone veneer helps the improvement of the appearance of the house. So that's actually a good one. Minor kitchen remodel is the other big one that people think a lot of, and it's only 72% of the value do you get back out of it. So on average, nationwide, people are spending $26,000 and they're getting less than $19,000 back when they resell. Did anybody else find this as shocking as I did? we and our clients included are part of that HGTV generation where we watch too much television, we watch too many of these flipper shows and think that, hey, just because somebody else is doing it on TV, I can do it. Not always the case. Okay. All right. Any questions on that before we move on to the next one? All right. Pricing based on what the sellers need. Okay. So how many of us with any experience at all have been on a listing appointment where they're like, well, I'm sorry, 350 is not going to be enough. I need to get 400 out of this house in order for me to get to the next house. Guess what? What you need has absolutely nothing to do with what it is worth. Okay. It's no different than going into a car dealership and saying, well, in order to buy that Mercedes, I need to get X out of my Toyota Corolla. Not that there's anything wrong with a Toyota Corolla, by the way. I drove one until about a year ago. All right. Buyers don't price in a vacuum, so offers are based on what other homes have sold for. If they've got a good agent, they can see through, you know, an expensive, overinflated price based off of what the need is. And if you really want to think about it, a good way to counter this with a client is that this process works both ways. Sellers are going to get offers that are low on their house. They don't care if a buyer says that's all I can pay. It's the same thing when you're a seller. All right. You don't give a discount based on need, so don't expect a premium either when you're the one that is doing it. I loved this one, y'all. How do I get rid of that? There we go. Everybody loves the love letters. This was an actual, no kidding listing. Go direct, send offers directly to the seller, and do not include a stupid letter with stupid family photos of your buyers, showing off how cute they look. I have no problem selling this house to an ugly person. I thought y'all might like that one. Okay, so that's number 4. Love this one. When your client falls in love with the AVM or the Zestimate. Does everybody know what AVM stands for? I got a cup of coffee I'll buy you for whoever can tell me what AVM stands for. Bring it.
Actual value market.
Close. Anybody else want to try? All right. Automated valuation model. Okay. So everybody is very familiar with the concept of Zestimate. AVM is the generic of Zestimate. Zestimate is Zillow's branded computer valuation model. It is a computer algorithm. Think giant formula in the sky, somewhere in the sky, that says what your house is worth, the Zestimate, okay? They are designed to provide a quick and easy macro level valuation for institutional investors who don't do the detailed analysis, okay? Zillow freely admits that their estimates have a median error rate of 8%, okay? For someone, and I love this, and I've been using this for years. Okay, I can't remember when this was. You can Google this because that's how I did it. The Zillow CEO himself sold his own home for 60% of its Zillow's estimate value. Zillow's estimated the house at 1.75. It actually sold for 1.05. If the Zillow's estimate was that accurate of a tool in predicting the value of your home, don't you think that the CEO of Zillow would have actually been a little bit more hardline on the sale of his own personal property? I do. Okay. Does anybody recognize this page and know where it came from? Come on, y'all have seen this before. Certainly you've seen this. If anybody's done a cloud CMA, this is one of the pages that you can include in your cloud CMA. So when you go through and you pick your comps, the cloud CMA tool will actually tell you, okay, 251 Riverstone Place, which sold in August of last year, it sold for 232, but the Zillow's estimate was 272. It was 17.3% higher than what reality was. This one at 200 was 22%. On average, the Zillow's estimates of all of these four comps that I picked for this particular house are 22.3% higher. They were 53% off. Okay. That will shut down the average seller who says my Zillow's estimate is worth X. Okay. It's a great little tool, very, very helpful, and I strongly suggest you use it. Did anybody else not know that this existed out there? Great little tool. Okay. All right. And then number 6 is pricing in anticipation of the strong seller's market. Okay. Sellers and agents that price high in anticipation of where they think the market will drive the price, it's a big, big mistake. The results are almost always disappointing. You tend to have a longer days on the market. You have a slower amount of showing activity when you price initially too high, and you end up with frustrated sellers. Ultimately, pricing at or below where you think a normal market value would be, and don't really anticipate where the intense buyer activity is going to drive it, you end up going in well over asking ultimately with that. So I would strongly encourage you not to overestimate the value based off of this strong seller's market that we're in. Okay, so real quickly, those are the 6 things that we do when we are picking the initial sales price. And now we're going to talk about the 7th thing that we do after we go live, is the proverbial set it and forget it. Okay, this is what I want you to avoid at all costs. One of my scripts is when I sit down with a client is, look, I'm a human being. I am trying to determine the best position to place your house, and I'm doing this with 2 things in mind. One, I'm trying to predict what the market is going to do to get you the best possible deal, and 2, I'm trying to do it with the least amount of risk and the highest probability that we'll actually make it to the closing table. Okay, those things can be in conflict with each other. Okay, so when we pick the initial price, I am using the tools and the resources available to me as an agent to help predict what those values are and what the market is going to dictate the price to be. But I'm a human being. But here's what you need to know is I can make mistakes, but what I'm going to do is continuously monitor, and I'm going to use the tools, some of which are listed right here. I'm going to use the feedback that we're getting from other agents and buyers. I'm I'm going to get the internet traffic report and the golden ruler, which is a C21 tool to show you how many people are actually seeing your home online. I'm going to give you the showing traffic report. We're going to evaluate the quantity of offers, how many offers we're getting, have the comps in the same neighborhood sold since we went on the market. And more importantly, I'm going to go as far as to reach back out to the buyers and the agents that showed the property a month ago and ask them, hey, did you end up going under contract after you looked at our home? If so, what was it that you didn't like about ours? That is part of the feedback process. Okay. Here is the goal, and this is in quotation marks because it's a script that I use almost with every listing. In this seller's market, our goal should be 3 to 5 showings per week. Sorry, y'all. Go back. And for every 15 showings we should be receiving an offer. If we are not meeting those metrics, if we go live and crickets are chirping the first weekend and we don't get 3 to 5 showings that first week, then we have picked the high price that is above market. And if we've shown this home for 30 showings and we have not received an offer yet, that is also telling us that the market is sending us a message about the price. Okay. Price reductions on a listing are never given. They must be earned. You've got to use cold, hard, objective data, facts, and figures to be able to justify a price reduction after the fact. Okay? If one is ever going to be necessary. I have exhausted my slides for today. We've talked a little bit about the pricing. We've got 6 things to consider when you are picking the price, and one thing to consider after you've picked the price is constantly be adjusting, constantly be reevaluating, and adjusting your marketing strategy based off of what the market is telling us. What questions do you have for me today, everybody? All right. I'm here all week this week. I have some availability. I've got more availability on Thursday this week for coaching. If anybody wants to get on the coaching calendar for Thursday, would love to spend some time with you and help refine your business. But I've got other slots available here and there, but mostly Thursday is much more open. So would love to work with you then, if possible. All right. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you, Jay.
Bye now.